So what is a calorie deficit? Well, quite simply, it means that you are burning more calories than you're consuming, which means that you're going to be losing weight. And if you're looking to lose weight, you're going to look to try to do as much as you can to begin to increase that calorie deficit so that you begin to lose weight. And today we're going to be going over 5 different tips. These tips are designed to help you increase your calorie deficit, which means more weight loss for you. And the more things that you can do in terms of calorie deficit, the faster you're going to get to your weight loss goal. So the very first tip is that you're only going to be consuming drinks that contain 0 to very low calorie drinks. So it goes something like this. Let's say you want a Mountain Dew. So right here, we got a 0 sugar Mountain Dew. This one has 0 calories, but if you drink the one with full calories, which is regular Mountain Dew, you're going to be drinking 240 calories. They're both going to taste really good, and you're going to be saving yourself a ton of calories. So this one's a no-brainer. One of my favorite things to drink is a cold brew. So something like this, you can buy this at a Target or a grocery store, wherever you're at. This has 12 fluid ounces for only 15 calories. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're not adding a bunch of cream or sugar to it, because that's what you're beginning to increase your calories. And, if you went to a Starbucks and you get like a Frappuccino, you're easily looking at 300 to 500 calories just for some kind of drink. That's just something you can enjoy, sip throughout the day, and it's going to taste fantastic. So most of us don't get the recommended 8 cups of water that we're supposed to have, but I like to get water, carbonated water. Carbonated water is going to help fill you up and make you feel a little bit fuller. And once again, there's 0 calories. So this is always a safe bet. And step number 2 is walking more steps, because walking is amazing. It's easy to do and it gets amazing results. Let's get into it. So if you've been watching any of my channel, you know that I do a lot of walking, and this one is not really food related, but getting in extra steps is a great way to get yourself into a calorie deficit. Every step that you take begins to add to your calorie deficit. So if I'm going to go out and let's say I walk for 10 minutes, I'm going to take anywhere between maybe 750 to 1,000 steps. And that begins to add up. And if you begin to do that throughout the day, it really begins to add up. So if you're at the grocery store, instead of parking right next to the door, you can park further back in the lot, and that's going to increase. Same thing. Let's say you got stairs. Instead of taking an escalator or an elevator, you can begin to walk up the stairs, walk down the stairs. That's going to increase. Let's say you're on a phone call. You can take a couple of steps, maybe 5 minutes on a phone call. Instead of just sitting there, you can begin to burn calories. So whenever you have that free time, any kind of energy where you're moving around, that's going to lead to a bigger calorie deficit. Intermittent fasting is probably my favorite way to get into a calorie deficit, and it's very easy to do. So let's talk about intermittent fasting, and we're just going to create an easy example for you to follow. So basically an intermittent fast is a time period where you're going to eat, and then a time period where you do not eat. So for the example, we're going to say that your last meal is going to be supper time. You're done eating at 8 o'clock at night. And essentially you go through, you do your normal nighttime routine, you go to bed, you wake up in the morning, but because you're now intermittent fasting, let's just say you're not going to eat until 12 o'clock at noon. So if you do that, you're going to be skipping breakfast, you're going to be skipping your mid-morning snack, and then your first meal of the day is going to be at noon. Now you create an eating window, which is a time that you can eat. So to make it easy, we're going to have an 8-hour eating window where from noon up until 8 o'clock at night, you can eat lunch, you can have a snack, you can have 2 snacks if you want to. And then you're done eating your supper at right around 8 o'clock at night. So you have an 8-hour eating window and you're fasting for 16 hours. And this creates a calorie deficit very easily, because now you're not having breakfast and there's no snacks in the morning. And then you're just fasting for 16 hours. So this really begins to get into a calorie deficit really quickly. And we got number 4. And that just means we're going to be eating more fruits and vegetables. And we're the reasons why this is very, very important in terms of calorie deficit. Let's talk about snacks. And in the previous video, I'd mentioned that, I'd prefer something like, let's say, kettle chips. In a serving, you get about 15 chips. It's about 140 calories. But let's say you're talking with a friend. You're sitting down, you're watching a YouTube video or a movie, and pretty soon, half the bag is gone, 3/4 of the bag is gone. And you're like, well, I just ate 800 calories and I'm still hungry. You're just doing mindless eating. It's the same thing. I can sit down, watch a movie, watch a YouTube video, and start eating a pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream. And Yeah, if you eat a pint, you're looking at about 1,000 calories. Now, if you eat something like fruits and vegetables, they're going to have a lot less calories. They're not going to have the fat. They're not going to have a lot of that bad stuff that you would have. One of my go-tos right now, broccoli. So 1 cup of this is going to be 35 calories. You get this entire bag. There's 4 servings in here, 140 calories for this entire thing. And because it's so much volume, it's going to make you feel full. So this is one of the best things you can do. Even lower calorie is celery. Each celery stalk is about 6 calories. They're mostly water. It's hard to overeat on any of this stuff. So same thing. If you're looking to snack, just make more mindful choices. You're going to be looking for foods that can fill you up. They're going to be lesser in calorie. And if you can begin to make smarter choices, naturally, you're just going to be in more of a calorie deficit. So it's one of the best things you can do. And next we have grocery store delivery and pickup. And I'll tell you why this is really important. So let's talk about grocery store pickup and delivery. And I know for this one, you're not walking into the store like I mentioned earlier, but there is a reason why. And it's because we're reducing all of your impulsive buys. So let's talk about this. This one's fun because I just did this last week. I did some dumb impulse buys. And normally you go into a grocery store, you have your grocery list, you know what you want to get. So you get your chicken, you get your fruit, your vegetables, you get your fish, you get your cashews, you get all the stuff that's healthy and it's on your diet plan. But then you walk past aisle 12 and you got double stuffed Oreos. And oh, I love Oreos. They're so good. Or else you get see the kettle chips, you see the Ben and Jerry's ice cream and that frozen pizza. And I should try that. All this food that it's going to be tempting. And for myself, especially newer on this journey, I did this last week. In fact, that if you have this kind of food, it's sitting there and you walk past, I don't have all the motivation to ignore it. So if you do a grocery store delivery or pickup, they're going to pick up exactly what you have on your list, nothing more, nothing less. And that's all you get. So you don't have to walk through the store. You don't have to do anything in terms of impulse control because they're just going to pick up exactly what you put on the order. And if you can do that, the way to get into calorie deficit, because now you're not going to have an extra 500 to 1,000 calories that you're not eating because you planned ahead. And this is all about planning. So I'm newer into my journey. I'm 5 weeks in, but I've lost 30.2 pounds in the first 5 weeks. And I got there by doing a lot of walking, but I also began to implement the steps for these calorie deficits. So if you got any value of this, like, comment, subscribe. We're on a journey to lose 100 pounds. And if you join the journey, you're going to get weekly updates and you're going to learn as I learn. You're going to get some tips, some motivation, and together we can. So let's do this.